Hello children, we are discussing the chapter 10, reaching the age of adolescence. In this topic, bache, we'll discuss the role of hormones in completing the life cycle of a frog. In human beings, a young one is born, an organism which is just like the human beings are born as a child. Some organisms give eggs, like birds. When eggs hatch, a bird is produced. But in case of frogs, an intermediate stage is formed in between the adult and the egg, that is known as larva. Larva of the frog is known as tadpole. Frogs में क्या है बच्चों? Egg से एक intermediate stage बनती है. Intermediate means बीच की stage, जो ना तो बच्चे adult है और ना starting phase है. Egg will hatch into a larva. That larva of frog is known as tadpole. So बच्चे tadpole will grows into an adult, and this happens because of the release of a hormone named as thyroxine. We have discussed about this hormone. Thyroxine is released in the humans by a thyroid gland. These glands are also present in the larva of frog. The development of the larva of frog into an adult is known as metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is a complex process in which a smaller organisms will develop into an adult through multiple stages. जिसमें एक smaller organism जो है बच्चे, एक young one जो है, वो एक adult में grow होता है through multiple stages. काफी सारी stages के बाद that stage, that phenomena is known as metamorphosis. So the transformation of larva of an organism, of an animal, into an adult through drastic changes is known as metamorphosis. In frogs, this drastic changes, these metamorphosis process is controlled by hormone, and that hormone is thyroxine. This thyroxine hormone is released by thyroid glands present in that larva. These thyroid glands are present in the humans as well, in their neck region. The same glands are present in the larva, which leads to the development of that larva into an adult. Next thing, this thyroxine requires iodine. We are discussing humans. In the deficiency of iodine, goiter is caused. अगर humans में iodine की कमी हो जाए तो goiter हो जाता है बच्चे. This iodine is not present in the body of a larva of frog. This iodine is present in the water in which that larva is developed. जो बच्चे frog का larva है वो water में develop होता है. तो water में iodine होती है. तो presence of iodine in the water will assure that thyroxine will form in the body. This iodine is not present in the body. This iodine is present in the water. And that presence of iodine in the water is required for the production or the formation of thyroxine in the body of frog or body of the larva. If water is deficient of iodine, अगर water में iodine की deficiency है, then tadpole or the larva of the frog is known as tadpole. Its growth will be shunted, its growth will be hampered, and that larva will not grow into an adult frog. So, this is the role of hormones in the development of frog from a tadpole or from a larval stage. Next, we'll discuss reproductive health. According to WHO, World Health Organization, the definition of health is a person's complete social, mental and physical well-being is known as health. अगर एक person बच्चे socially, physically और mentally well है, then only that person is referred as a healthy person. This is what the health defines. So बच्चे, during adolescence or during this phase, an adolescent must have to take care of his health. Why? Because the body of an adolescent undergoes certain drastic changes. So for that, we are going to discuss certain points which an adolescent must keep in mind. The first is nutritional requirement. The nutrient requirement of adolescent is quite high and quite balanced one. As adolescence is going through reproductive maturity as well as the growth of the body, so adolescent's diet must be a balanced one. The diet of an adolescent must include the basic needs, that is carbohydrates for energy production, proteins for the body building and the growth of muscles and bones, minerals like vitamins which are required for the body to produce immunity, to provide immunity to the body against the foreign pathogens, against the diseases. So for that, a person must take or must need to take a well-balanced diet, a well-nutrient-rich diet, which contain all these things. So, an adolescent require adequate nutrients, that is carbohydrates, fats and proteins for proper growth, for normal growth and development. And that diet, which include all these nutrients in an adequate amount, is known as a balanced diet. For example, sugar, cereals, they provide carbohydrates. Butter and ghee provide fats. Carbohydrates and fats provide us energy. Next, milk, meat, nuts, pulses. Pulses are one of the richest sources of the proteins. And proteins are required for the growth of the muscles and the bones, for the development of bones and the muscles. Next, fruits and vegetables. They provide us the minerals, vitamins, and vitamins and minerals are essential to provide immunity. And by that immunity, our immune system is capable to fight against the foreign pathogens or the diseases. The next is personal hygiene. एक पर्सन को बच्चे अपनी स्वच्छता का पूरा ध्यान रखना है. An adolescent must need to take care of the personal hygiene. Why? The oil and the sebaceous glands of adolescent are active during this phase. जो oil और sweat glands हैं बच्चे, ये बहुत ज़्यादा active होती हैं इस age में, इस phase में. So that person have a very smelly body. So that person should or must take a bath every day. In summers, even twice a day. Next, a person, especially the adolescent, should wash his or her hands with a soap. If antiseptic soap would be there, that would be much better. Wash your hands with a soap every time now and then when you came from outside or when you are going somewhere. Next, they should change their clothes daily at a regular interval. In case of a female, in case of a girl, the girl should be more precautionary. In the case of menstruation, that girl must have to remember the days of the menstruation so that that girl will remain prepared for that. So that's how a person, an adolescent especially, can take care of the personal hygiene during this puberty phase. Next, we'll discuss physical exercise. An adolescent should keep his mind and body fit during the age of puberty. So for that, a person must do certain physical exercise like yoga in the open air, brisk walking, cycling, jogging. These are the physical exercises which makes the body and mind fit. A healthy mind will lead to the positivity, and for an adolescent, positivity is the key to success. Next thing, a person who is undergoing that age or who is in that age must go for certain spiritual things or spiritual talks that will also lead to the positivity in the nature. Next thing is say no to drugs, and the very important for today's teenagers. As teenagers will keep on looking for the opportunities and they are more inclined towards their friends. So it is very casual that they will very easily fall into the bad habits like drugs. Drugs have very bad impacts, have very harmful impacts on the body. Like smoking of tobacco in the form of cigarettes may cause lung cancer. Next, chewing of tobacco in the form of pan, in the form of various chewing tobacco things, suparis like, they cause oral cancer. You must have seen the advertisements of these things as well. If you are watching a movie or a serial, if a person or an actor performing the acting of it, then also you must have seen that there is a line written below that screen that drinking alcohol or consumption of alcohol or smoking cigarettes is harmful. Next thing, consumption of alcohol or drinking of alcohol causes serious damage to our internal organs, to our visceral organs like kidneys, to our liver. It also impacts on our nervous system. Alcohol impacts on the hind brain. Our brain has three parts, bache: forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Hindbrain controls the body postures and the body stature. Alcohol acts on this hindbrain part and a person leads to staggering movements. लड़खड़ा कर चलने लगता है person. It leads to slurry speech. आवाज में थुथलाहट सी आ जाती है बच्चे. That is because of the consumption of alcohol, and alcohol affects on the hindbrain. Next thing is the drugs like heroin, cocaine, they affects the nervous system badly and makes a person addict of it. The next thing which we are going to discuss is addiction. Dependence of a person on the drugs is known as addiction. Addiction makes the body of a person habitual of that drug, without which a person cannot be able to feel calm. Addiction will lead to restlessness, as well as extreme addiction may lead to bankruptcy like condition. So adolescents should take care of these things during this age, that is puberty, which is very sensitive for the growth and development of a human being. During adolescence, a person must have to take care of his or her sexual life. As we have discussed, bache, during this age, a person is more inclined towards the opposite sex. Why a person should be more precautious in that age? Because sexually transmitted diseases are very common. What are these? The diseases which transmits from an afflicted person, from a patient to a healthy person through a sexual contact are known as sexually transmitted diseases. वो diseases बच्चे जो एक healthy person में आएंगी, एक afflicted, एक patient से, एक infected person से through sexual contact, those diseases are known as sexually transmitted diseases. They are also abbreviated as STDs. S stands for sexually, T stands for transmitted, and D stands for diseases. One such example which we are going to discuss is AIDS. You must have heard about the AIDS. But AIDS, AIDS, it is abbreviated for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Its full form is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. As its name says it all. The deficiency in the immune system occurs in this disease. A person cannot be able to fight against the foreign pathogens. A small fever becomes pneumonia. A small scar will become a deep cut. A person cannot be able to recover from very small diseases in this particular syndrome. Its causative agent. Causative agent means किस pathogen की वजह से होती है, इसका कारण क्या है? It is a viral disease and caused due to a virus named as HIV. H stands for human, I stands for immunodeficiency, and D stands for virus. Human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV, is the causative agent of AIDS. Modes of transmission. That means how this AIDS is transmitted from a patient to a healthy person, from an afflicted person to a healthy person. एक पेशेंट से एक हेल्दी पर्सन में जाति किस तरह से है, उसके जाने के तरीके को मोड ऑफ ट्रांसमिशन बोलते हैं. द फर्स्ट इज थ्रू अनप्रोटेक्टेड सेक्सुअल कॉन्टैक्ट with an afflicted person, with an infected person. The person who has AIDS, if that person makes a sexual contact without the use of any protection like condoms, the other person, which is healthy, will also get that HIV and henceforth will be affected from this particular disease named as AIDS. Next, through the transfusion of infected blood. What is transfusion? बच्चे ब्लड डोनेट करते हैं. यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड अबाउट द ब्लड बैंक्स. वहां पर एडल्ट जो है 18 साल से ऊपर के लोग ब्लड डोनेट करने जाते हैं. इफ समहाउ a person has suffered from HIV, he or she donates the blood, and the blood bank does not diagnose it. उसे check नहीं किया बच्चे. And the same blood sample is transfused to someone else who is healthy. Then that person is also affected from that HIV, and henceforth will be affected from AIDS. The next is vertical transmission. 1 mark, very important definition. What do you mean by vertical transmission? Transmission of a pathogen or a disease-causing microorganism from a pregnant lady to the fetus, to the developing child, to the fetus is known as vertical transmission. अगर एक मदर है बच्चे, वो प्रेग्नेंट है, उसके वूम्ब में, उसके यूट्रस में जो बच्चा पल रहा है बच्चे, उसमें ऑटोमेटिकली HIV वायरस आ जाएगा. This is known as vertical transmission. So, if a lady has HIV and that lady is pregnant, then that child must be aborted. उसे वो बच्चा abort कर देना चाहिए बच्चे. Next, through the use of infected syringes for injections or for vaccines. That's why you must have seen today's times doctors are using the disposable syringes, the one-time use syringe. They use it once and then throw it away in the dustbin. So, these are the mode of transmission by which the AIDS is transmitted from an afflicted person to a healthy person.